The phone rang a little past midnight. The voice on the other end was one I recognized too well, smug, taunting. "Your girl's done for," the sheriff sneered. I could hear the clatter of ice in his glass. He was drunk, or maybe just drunk on the authority he thought he controlled. "My son broke her arm. She should have kept her mouth shut. This is my town." Then came a laugh, slow, cruel, the kind that made your skin crawl. I didn't reply. I let the line fall silent. Across the room, my daughter slept on the couch, her arm awkwardly cradled in a plaster cast. She'd begged me not to take her to the hospital. She didn't want to stir things up, didn't want to make it worse. She thought keeping quiet meant being safe. But I knew better. 15 years in the Secret Service had taught me how silence could be turned into a weapon. It wasn't protection, it was surrender. Silence gave men like the sheriff the chance to build empires on fear. I used to map motorcades, calculate every route, identify choke points, prepare for ambushes. I knew how to move presidents through hostile streets without a scratch, and I knew how one wrong turn could destroy an entire operation. That night, the sheriff made a mistake. He revealed his son's weakness. And I planned to show him what silence could really cost. This town bent to his will: judges, deputies, reporters. They all pretended not to see when his son stumbled home drunk or tore through Main Street at 3 a.m. But breaking my daughter's arm wasn't recklessness. It was a message. Stay small. Stay powerless. But I was never built for small. I began running scenarios in my mind the way I once did for presidents. Entry points. Exits. Headlights tracing dark roads. Shadows swallowing mistakes. His son's arrogance was the flaw, and I was ready to use it. The boy had a bright red sports car, a gift from his father to keep him quiet. I'd heard it roar past my shop too many times not to recognize its sound. Loud. Reckless. Predictable. He thought the road belonged to him. He never realized someone else was paying attention. So I watched. Every Friday night, like clockwork, he stumbled out of the bar at 11:30. Tires screeched, bass thundered, and he cut through the back streets like they were an extension of his driveway. I didn't drink. I barely slept. I just waited. The sheriff called again once, voice thick with arrogance. "Your girl cry yet? She'll learn. You'll learn. I'm untouchable." My jaw locked so hard my teeth ached, but my voice stayed steady. "You're right," I said. "You own this place." Then I hung up and finished drawing the plan in my head. One alley. Narrow. A blind corner. One wrong turn, and there would be no correcting it. No chase, no weapon, just speed, gravity, and pride slamming into brick and steel. Every president I'd ever protected had a hidden route, the one no one ever saw. The boy was about to discover his. The chosen night was still and moonless. I parked 2 blocks away, hood propped open like a mechanic working late. At 11:32, I felt the car before I saw it. Music rattled the windows. Laughter spilled into the night. First corner, he swung sharp. Second, sloppy. The third was mine. I had shifted the signs, barely enough to notice. The one-way arrow flipped backward, a lie waiting in the dark. Headlights veered. Tires shrieked. Then the sound of steel tearing itself apart. And then, silence. Heavy. Final. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I just listened to the cooling tick of the engine, the faint hiss of steam. The plan had unfolded perfectly, clean, precise, without a trace. By sunrise, the sheriff was there. His shirt half tucked, badge hanging crooked. He looked smaller, weaker. His son was gone. Our eyes locked across the alley. He didn't know the details, but he knew enough that I had been waiting in the shadows. He opened his mouth, maybe to threaten, maybe to beg. Nothing came. I stepped closer, the smell of oil and metal still clinging to my coveralls. "You may own this town," I said quietly. "But you never owned me." He flinched as if I had struck him. I turned before he could answer. I didn't need his words, the wreck behind him screamed louder than he ever could. That morning, my daughter stirred in her sleep, unaware of the sirens in the distance. She still believed that silence meant safety. I let her keep that belief. For me, silence had always meant something else. It was a blade. And I had learned to hone it until it cut through power, through arrogance, through the illusion of untouchable men. The sheriff would wake every day to that alley, to the echo of his son's last ride, to the truth that his kingdom was thinner than glass. As for me, I went back to my garage. Wiped the grease from my hands. Fixed engines. Life carried on, at least on the surface. But the boy's car never roared past my window again. And that silence belonged to me. Sometimes, the quietest vengeance leaves the loudest echo.